Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining this podcast. For those who do not know me, my name is Arkam Chima, your very own sales guy and the co-founder of Captens Limited. And today I have invited Sam Lee, CEO of Delivered Media. Hello, Sam. Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So today's topic is all about Amazon DSP. So we are going to start from scratch. Just consider like the viewers doesn't know anything about Amazon DSP. So just start from scratch. Tell me more about yourself, your company, and then we can move forward with Amazon DSP.
Yeah, for sure. So I've been in the Amazon advertising space the past probably, 5 years, 6 years. Predominantly, my focus originally was Amazon PC. And then when I moved over, I helped to build out the Amazon DSP team at Thrasio. Thrasio is, if you're not familiar, the biggest of the Amazon aggregators and the first mover into that space. So Thrasio bought out over 200 Amazon businesses. That business grew from about 100 people to close to 1,500 during my 3 years there. I started consulting for a couple agencies, one of whom was Delivered Media. Delivered is a boutique Amazon agency, basically doing all things Amazon, organic stuff, Amazon PPC. And then I came in originally to build out their Amazon DSP offering. And then I stepped into the CEO slot as of last month.
That's just amazing. I hope your experience at Thrasio was also amazing. Obviously, everybody knows they're the biggest aggregators, so the learning curve might have been like really great. So moving forward with the Amazon DSP stuff. So let's just start with the basics. What is Amazon DSP? Who should offer it? When they should offer it?
Yeah, for sure. So Amazon DSP is Amazon's demand side platform. In the most Amazon fashion of all time, Amazon actually has two DSPs. One of them is delivery service provider. But no, I specialize in Amazon demand side platform. So Amazon's demand side platform is their programmatic marketing tool. So it's display advertising. Amazon uses their demand side platform to tap into various supply side platforms, including their own. So what that basically means is you can utilize the DSP to serve display and video advertising on Amazon, off Amazon in the wild, like on desktop, on mobile apps, things like that. And then DSP can also tap into various streaming services, as well as Twitch for video content. So the DSP is relatively new when we're speaking in terms of general advertising platforms. And it's one of those platforms that I think is still very misunderstood. And there's definitely a lack of education around the topic still, for sure. I think that when the DSP first launched, people were predominantly tapping into it through managed service through Amazon. So Amazon was actually utilizing their products to run their ads themselves. At that point, had very high minimum spend investments, closer to, I believe it was 25 or 30,000 a month. And then agencies and brands started offering a self-service option. And at that point, many agencies were still charging minimums of 20, 25,000 a month in order to access the DSP. Those minimums definitely were too high. That being said, Amazon DSP is not for everyone. You don't even necessarily need to be an Amazon seller to tap into it, which we can talk about a little bit later. But the main KPIs that I look for when a brand is looking to launch on Amazon DSP is, for one, do you have a dialed in Amazon PPC strategy? That should always come first and foremost. Brands, companies, they need to get that figured out first. That is the ultimate baseline of everything paid as it relates to Amazon. So kind of the hierarchy here is you want to make sure that your product detail pages in your brand store are built and optimized. From there, you layer in PPC, get your PPC strategy figured out, get your review count up. And then for brands, that's around time when they typically want to layer in Amazon DSP. So
it's like you have to leverage PPC or utilize PPC to the fullest. And when you think you have dominated the whole market, then move forward to the DSP side.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say dominated the whole market, but I would say that your strategy should be built out. It should be effective. You should see how high you can push the PPC spend before it starts to tailor off in terms of incremental revenue, and then layer in DSP. There are a couple things. I mean, for one, you need to make sure, like, obviously reviews are the baseline and the lifeline for all of Amazon, right? Like it's huge.
Yeah, exactly.
For the DSP in particular, you definitely want to make sure that your review count is high because it's charged on a CPM basis as opposed to a pay-per-click model. So in the PPC world, obviously reviews are incredibly important for click-through rate and conversion rate. But often if people are going to be dissuaded by review count on the search engine results, they might just not click the product and therefore you don't pay. With the DSP model, you're charged for impressions. So if you have a low review count and people aren't going to be interested in your product based on that review count, you pay for impressions anyways. So I don't usually recommend brands launch in the DSP until their products have at least about 100 reviews and 4 stars. The closer you can get to 1,000 and 4.5, the better. But I usually think that at least 100 is what we look for. And then that being said, depending on your price point, depending on your product catalog, depending on how familiar people are with your brands, there are infinite strategies that you can roll out utilizing the Amazon DSP to capture your market.
Okay. So what do you think, like, based on your experience, what should be the initial funnel to start DSP?
I would say that the baseline for DSP is going to be retargeting. That's what most people start with. You want to create a product view window determining on your product price point, and you want to negate people that have purchased products from you or, if applicable, competitors. So that's the first thing we typically test out. We want to be able to capture, especially if we're driving sufficient product detail page views through PPC and organic, we want to be able to utilize the DSP to kind of clean up those that didn't convert. You can utilize sponsored display for that as well. But the DSP, you have more granular control over things like look back windows, and you can negate purchases. So we've seen better success utilizing the DSP for retargeting for the most part.
So it's like similar to Facebook and Instagram. Like they are, if you visit a website once, they're going to retarget you again and again. So you buy their subscription. It's similar to that.
Yeah, it's similar to that. We can show the exact product they were looking at, or one thing that I've seen a good amount of success with as well is, let's say a company offers multiple variations of a similar product. If they look at one of our products, don't buy it for whatever reason, we can show them that same product, or we can show them a complementary replacement product within our same portfolio that might have fit the need a little bit better for them.
Okay, perfect. So based on your experience, as you said, like you can feature your products on multiple devices. Which device works the best?
What I typically like to do, I typically like to start with on Amazon placements on both mobile and desktop. We typically launch our strategies on Amazon, mobile and desktop, give it a couple weeks, and then we'll trim the losers and we'll launch the winners off Amazon. So we will launch a relatively diverse strategy, but we don't like to do too many things at once out of the gate. And then we see what works. We launch off Amazon, test it out there, turn off what didn't work, and then we'll launch some additional targeting options and basically just try to identify as many winners as possible and double down on those.
So what should be like the realistic, let's say everybody says like if you want to start a PPC, you have to give it at least 2 months or 3 months, depending upon the competition. What should be the realistic time frame when you're doing DSP?
I would say it's similar. I mean, to be honest, I don't really subscribe as much to the whole concept of we need 3 months to know whether or not this is going to work. Like, depending on the time of year that you launch, depending on what type of promos you're running, depending on your product, we usually have a good idea after probably a month if it's going to do well. That being said, we're almost always going to improve month over month. So results almost always go up after the first month. That being said, if we're going to have a degree of success as it relates to the client's KPIs, or if it's going to just not be the right platform for them, after a month, I can usually tell if it's ultimately going to be a reasonable platform for us or not.
Okay. So what do you think, how does a beginner to advanced DSP funnel looks like?
Do you mean in terms of targeting?
Yeah, in terms of let's say if you're starting with awareness, you're doing retargeting, how does it actually look like? From where they should start and where it should end?
Yeah, I would say that you want to start relatively small. You want to start with retargeting. I think that contextual is a great thing to tap into depending on your product type. So you start lower funnel with retargeting, usually if possible, some sort of brand loyalty or repurchase, say if you're a CPG company, or cross-pollination within your own brand. So people that have bought one of your products that might be in the same market for another one of your products, if that's applicable, that's typically what we would run. From there, contextual targeting is great. There's a beta available that allows you to contextually target categories, which all that really means is that you are able to serve your ads on Amazon in real time for contextually related products. There's a box that you can check that's available to everybody that just says auto target pages of related products, and there's a category 1 in beta. But the real difference is that for most audiences in the DSP, you look at historical views. So it's like they looked at this product in the past 30 days, show them the ad wherever. They looked at a similar product in the past 15 days, show them the ad wherever. But contextual is different because it utilizes real-time data. So it's like, what page are they on right now? And if it's contextually relevant, it'll be eligible to serve an ad. So that's usually one thing that we'll roll out pretty quickly. We do competitor targeting stuff usually within probably the second month. Typically just getting a list of ASINs of the top competitors, utilizing people who viewed but didn't purchase those products or previously purchased those products but haven't recently, if applicable, and we'll serve ads for that. And then once you start to really get outside of those immediate like lower to mid funnel audiences, that's when we'll sometimes start to layer in things like relevant in-market audiences, which Amazon curates for you. And it basically means that somebody's viewed a particular type of product in the past 30 days, or things like lifestyle segments, which are based on ongoing shopping habits, basically determining the type of person that somebody is.
So it's, I guess it's also quite beneficial for the subscribe and save. It's like an alternative subscribe and save as well. Let's say if you are into a niche that is easily consumable and an individual have to buy the product after 30 days or 60 days, based on that data, you can like retarget them, I guess, again, to show them the same product like they needed.
Yeah, so a couple things. I mean, subscribe and save through the DSP, it's all tracked. It definitely can be beneficial. You can utilize things like your headlines even to promote it sometimes. That being said, it's a good method when you have products that are eligible for repurchase to try to show ads to people who bought your product in the past, say 90 days, but not 30, just so they don't end up going back to the search engine result pages again, and then ultimately buy from a competitor.
So how DSP leverages Amazon data asset to enhance like targeting and optimization? Because they are utilizing.
Yeah, I mean, the cool thing about the DSP in my eyes is that you have the entirety of Amazon in terms of ASINs to choose from to make custom audiences. And then Amazon also has over 8,000 pre-curated audiences that are available on the DSP. So in terms of leveraging Amazon's data, I personally like to go the custom audience route like 9 times out of 10, just because you can really take any product, select almost any look back window within 365 for purchase and 90 for product views, and serve to people that have viewed those products. So if you have a certain product that your customer would also be interested in, or if somebody bought this product, they would also possibly be interested in yours. You have full creative capability to say, hey, take this ASIN, create a look back window of 180-day purchases, show them our product. And being able to leverage that Amazon data in that way is very unique. And that's why we've seen some success, even with brands that don't even sell on Amazon, being able to tap into Amazon's first party data through the DSP.
Okay, so like, what do you think? Like, what's the average conversion rate on Amazon DSP? Because what I've seen like so far, it's like more you are training the consumer. It's similar to the Facebook and Instagram concept. You're training the consumer first, then they are purchasing it afterwards, or being loyal to your brand.
Yeah, I mean, I know everyone hates this answer, but it just really, really, really depends. I mean, the gift and the curse of having so much creative control over the way that you target in the DSP means that there's no real metric that I can give you in terms of conversions. I mean, the real variable here are, for one, what's your product, what's your price point, how many ratings do you have, or how many reviews do you have? Like that's number one. That's the baseline first and foremost. What are your typical conversion rates? And then what's your targeting strategy? I mean, if you have an incredibly high reviewed product and you're running a retargeting strategy, that conversion rate is going to be very different than a product with fewer reviews that's running more upper funnel. So I've seen, I mean, it really heavily depends, but you can tweak your targeting strategy and your product, which product you decide to advertise, in order to chase whatever conversion rate you're ultimately looking for. But yeah, just the targeting strategy. It's just like kind of asking like, what's PPC conversion rate? It's like, are you running branded? How do you typically convert with organic? Like there are too many questions to ask to really give a real answer to that. But it is fully customizable to chase whatever conversion rate you are ultimately after.
All right. So I have a question here. What are the key features of Amazon DSP due to which advertisers should opt for it?
I would say, again, I think that the fully customizable targeting capabilities and the ease with which you can make creatives. So for many display platforms, you need to provide custom creatives in a lot of dimensions, which is an option through the DSP in order to get like, they're just additional assets that you need. For the DSP, all you need is an ASIN. You can create a responsive e-commerce ad just by plugging in the ASIN. It'll pull in your images. It'll pull in your reviews. You can add your own logo and headline if you want. And like you can make responsive e-commerce ads in 5 seconds, which is very valuable. And then outside of that, it's just, you can get so creative with your targeting strategies. Like if you have if you know your customer base on Amazon, you can find them through the DSP.
Okay. So I have a question related to it. But as you said, like you can advertise your products on Twitch and other streaming platforms for Amazon. What do you think, like which platform works the best? And let's say if I'm a beginner, I want to start with a brand by DSP, which external platform should I go for?
I would say always start on Amazon. I think that your CPMs are going to be significantly cheaper off Amazon, but obviously when somebody is on Amazon, they have current purchase intent. They're there to buy something. Whereas if you're serving off Amazon, somebody might be, whatever they're watching on Twitch. If you're serving an app, somebody might be playing a game. They might be doing something else. So you get incredibly cheap CPMs there. And for effective targeting strategies, I always recommend launching those off Amazon. But you always want to start on Amazon just because the purchase intent is there. Outside of that, mobile apps are great because the viewability rates on mobile apps are almost 100%, just because you think about the way that an ad would pop up on your mobile app. It's always going to be completely visible on your screen, which isn't always the case with general mobile and desktop ads. And then depending on your brand, I mean, identify the correct audience segment first. And then once you find audience segments that work, it doesn't really matter. You just need to find them where they are.
Okay. So it's like more like hardcore marketing. You are just not like revolving around a couple of keywords and stuff. Now you are like in the real marketing, and it's like it's similar to like if a YouTube ad pops up, your first try is to just click on the skip ads.
Yeah, correct. And it's person based, not query based, is the big difference. I think you are frozen unless I'm frozen. Oh wait, there you are. I cannot hear you. I see this question. Can you hear me? Eligibility criteria to qualify for DSP ads. Yes. So basically, there is a minimum spend limit in order to qualify for access to the platform. But there's a couple ways to mitigate it. So typically speaking, you need to spend, I believe the number is still $100,000 a month on a 3-month rolling average to qualify for your own DSP seat. A couple ways to go around that. Agencies typically have their own DSP seat because between all their clients, they're spending $100,000 a month. Or you can utilize a third party to gain access. They then take a fee. So there are several companies that will host the DSP platform, and they charge something like 5% of ad spend that gets baked into your cost and CPM, and you can gain access through them. And then once you have access, there are no real eligibility criteria from that point.
So I was like yesterday I was checking this, and I was on the Amazon's page where they're showing like if you're eligible or not. There, I guess they have updated their eligibility now, and it's above 10K. If you're spending 10K on your current account, and then you share your category, all of your products and stuff, and they evaluate it further, and then let you know whether you are eligible for it or not.
Yep, That's good. I know that
Okay.
they've been tweaking it for quite some time, and there are also differences between countries. So, as an example, if you have a DSP seat in the US and you qualify, and then you get a new client, or you decide you want to run ads for your brand in the UK or Germany or whatever it is, you'll need to access a different DSP in order to access those
Okay.
ad
Okay.
placements.
Okay. So it's like you can add like multiple accounts to one DSPC account.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, so the tricky thing is that because it's run within a platform that lives completely outside of Seller Central, the way that it works is if you're running multiple advertisers or you're running ads for multiple brands, all of those ad costs need to be out of one account.
All right.
So the way that it works from the agency world, which is a little bit of a headache, is basically like, all right, let's say I have 6 clients, they're all running through my DSP, and they each want to spend 5K or 10K next month within the DSP. I'll have to invoice those clients ahead of time for the ad spend because
Okay.
the money all comes out of one account, which is ultimately at this point the agency's account. So the ad spend would be sent to the agency up front. We spend it over the course of the month, collect another invoice. So we can't connect like different client accounts to different advertisers within the DSP, which is a bit of a pain.
So how do you like evaluate? Like, do you have to go through all the campaigns, then evaluate like we have spent this much XYZ amount, and this is our bill? How does that work?
Yeah, so we will confirm budgets with the client prior to the end of the month, every month. So let's say we spent 3,000 this month, we're going to go up to 5,000 next month. We confirm that with the client. We look at if we have any underspend from the previous month that we can roll over, or if we're forecasting any underspend, we
Okay.
invoice that amount, collect it before the end of the month, and then we spend that ad money throughout the course of the month.
Okay. So we have another question. How does Amazon DSP help advertisers reach their target audience effectively?
I mean, it's through the audience options and the custom audiences within the DSP. So for one, they have a lot of pre-created audiences for various in-market lifestyle demographic segments.
Okay.
They get very specific, and then outside of that is your ability to create your own. So let's say your target audience is somebody. Let's say you sell supplements and you're in the health and wellness space, and you're
Okay.
selling like a pre-workout. You know that your target audience is likely buying other supplements.
Exactly.
You can go pull whatever supplements you view as being complementary to your product, set a purchase window and a look back, and create a custom audience for people that have bought those products and show them your ads. So
Okay.
as long as you know the shopping patterns of your target customer, you can find them with custom audiences.
It's like you have to know more about your, not just your product, but your whole niche, how the consumer thinks in that niche, what are their concerns, what
What
they,
else do they buy? What are they on
yeah.
Amazon for? Like, what does your target audience go to Amazon for? What other products do they own? What other products are they
Okay.
browsing? And that you can utilize that information to find them very effectively.
Okay. So I'm not sure if you have the answer to this one. Can you share some of the success stories or case studies of brands using Amazon DSP to achieve their advertising goals?
Yeah, definitely. So we've seen some brands that have come over that have previously been running Amazon DSP either themselves or through a previous agency, and the targeting strategies were a little bit messed up. They were not negating purchases in the correct way. They were
Okay.
going very, very top of funnel when they had a ROAS goal in mind. There were just a lot of things within the account that didn't look right. They were pacing around a 3 return on ad spend, and I think that now we have them pacing around a 10 or 11 within the first
Okay.
6 months, which is great. We've had brands that have come in that previously thought that they were unable to advertise on Amazon DSP due to the nature of their product, or they were unable to retarget. We've been able to mitigate that. We've had brands that were doing incredibly well organically and doing decently well in PPC. And once we layered in DSP, even with a modest budget of like 5K, we saw
Okay.
the overall effects of PPC and conversion rates jump a lot. You can utilize AMC to look into overall conversion rates when you run PPC by itself, DSP by itself, and the both in tandem. And what we do find
Okay.
is overall conversion rates for those products are much higher when both paid advertising channels are being effectively utilized. So yeah, I mean, it varies. I'd say that for the most part, when we onboard clients, I like to be relatively selective with which ones run DSP, just based on things like review count, sufficient PPC spend in order to layer it in, things like that. But I would say that 9 out of 10 times for those clients that qualify and that we view them as a good prospect for DSP, they tend to do pretty well.
Okay, cool. That's good. So I have another question here. Can you give us a brief overview of the reporting and analytics available in DSP?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, it's if you've been in Seller Central and you've run PPC accounts, it looks pretty similar. You can customize whatever views you want to utilize through the DSP. There are a ton of options. There are also reporting functions that you can create. You can customize them, and then you can have them sent to your email on a regular cadence. So you build out the report, put in the emails, say that I want this report with these advertisers showing this data to come in the second week of the month, every month, and it'll get emailed to you. So that's, and then Amazon also has a lot of things that are available once you reach a particular spend threshold for certain advertisers. It basically does things like the ability to view omni-channel metrics. For some brands, they give the eligibility to track off Amazon sales that can be attributed to impressions through the DSP. Like if somebody is served an ad for a particular pet food brand, they buy it from Whole Foods. I don't exactly know how accurate that data is, but Amazon will provide some off Amazon metrics for you. And then they have a lot of like available case studies and things like that you can pull directly through the platform.
Okay, that's amazing. So I guess this is it. These are all the questions I had and the audience had. If you have anything like important to share with the community, please do that without any hesitation.
Yeah, I think we covered a lot of it. I think that the DSP is something that is, in my opinion, a lot of fun, and it's very customizable. What I will say is that if you are looking to run Amazon DSP, don't fall into the trap of creating one blanket strategy and rolling it out just based on something that's worked in the past. Every brand, every product is going to need something a little bit different. You don't want to do things like, let's say you have 2 products. Let's talk about retargeting. One of them costs $200, and people typically have a longer window while they're considering that product. And then you have another product that's $10. You don't want to run a 30-day look back window for both those products, right? Because if somebody was going to buy the $10 product, they probably either bought something else, or it's not going to take them more than a week to decide if they want it. Versus for a more expensive product, somebody might think of that for a month and a half, 2 months before they purchase. So just really take every product and every brand into consideration when you're deciding a strategy for the DSP, and just get creative. Like, you have the entire arsenal of ASINs on Amazon at your disposal. Think about your customer, think about who they are, think about what they view and what they purchase, and just try to get creative with the way that you target, and try as many things as possible. Cut out the things that don't work, double down on what works, and that's how you're going to see the most success.
So just be a creative marketer. That's it. That's the key.
100%.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much, Sam. Thank you so much for giving your time and sharing your knowledge. Hopefully in the future we can schedule more podcasts and learn a lot from you. So if you have like anything to tell about your company in the end, please do.
Yeah, I mean, pretty straightforward. Delivered Media. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Go to our website, and if any of you guys have any general questions, never hesitate to reach out.
Perfect. Sounds good. So talk to you soon, Sam. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye-bye. No problem. Bye-bye.